Hey guys, it's Steph and welcome back. So in today's video, as you might be able to tell by the lack of general eye makeup that I have on, we're going to be testing out a new eyeshadow palette. If you guys follow me on Instagram stories, which you should, you can find all the details up there. I do a lot of PR unboxings and hauls and stuff like that over on my stories. I recently got sent the new I Heart makeup. I think it's called the Mint Chocolate palette. It looks a little something like this. And I got a lot of requests from you guys to do a review on it. So this is what it looks like. I haven't swatched it or anything at all. And I also got a few requests to compare it to the Anastacio Subculture palette because it's meant to be like a fairly decent dupe. So as you can see just by looking at the palettes, they do look fairly similar. You've got a lot of similar tones going on there, but they actually have a lot of different colors. For example, it doesn't have the electric shade in the I Heart makeup palette. It doesn't have the cube shade. It doesn't have the Adorn shade either. So it has got a few different shades, but the general theme is very, very similar. But what I thought I could do today is do a review on this palette and also kind of compare it to the Anastasia one. Obviously the Anastasia one is a lot more expensive. I think the I Heart makeup palettes cost around £6, £7 or £8, something like that, and the Anastasia one cost me, I believe, £45. So I'm basically gonna review this guy, and whilst I'm at it, I'm gonna tell you guys if it is a similar dupe to the Anastasia one or not. So let's get into it. So I've already got an eye primer on. I just used the Maybelline Color Tattoo, used exactly the same on both of my eyes, and I also set them in place. So first of all, let's have a little look-see here. So we've got this shade down here. It does come with a little slip. This one here is called Interrupted, and I think I'm going to use that and Dawn on either eye because they do look fairly similar. So first of all, I'm going to go in with the Dawn shade over here. I forgot how pigmented the Subculture shadows are. They are so intense, and I'm just going to work that in my crease to start off with. So that's what that looks like, just like a nice transition shade. I'm now going to dust off my brush on my pajama bottoms, and I'm going to take this shade down here. To be fair, that's actually very pigmented as well, so that was the shade Interrupted. And I'm going to work that into the crease. Take a little bit more. Yeah, these are very, very pigmented actually. As far as transition colors go, there really isn't that much in it, to be honest, especially if you are just using it as a transition color. Yeah, looking at it, there's really not any noticeable difference. One's just slightly more warmer, one's a little bit more neutral, but that's pretty much it. They both blend out just as nicely as each other. The Anastasia ones, chances are the Anastasia ones are going to be way more pigmented than the I Heart makeup because that palette is just insane with pigmentation anyway. But the I Heart makeup palette is still pretty pigmented as well. So next up, looking at it, there really aren't that many similar colors at all. Like for example, I was thinking about using that shade, but there isn't like a warm chocolatey brown shade in the I Heart makeup palette. What else do we have? We've got a lot of the blue shades. We've got this one, which is very similar to Axis. We've got a lot of really nice shimmer shades that aren't in this palette, and to be honest, I actually prefer these shimmers over the ones in the Anastasia palette. For example, like, oh, that is really nice. It's kind of like a petrol-y shade and a color that's very similar to the green color that was in the Sofa palette that I liked. What I think I might do is maybe take this shade here, All Star, and I'm thinking it could be a good idea to mix those two colors together to kind of create that shade there. I feel like they're both almost there. This one's just a little bit too red toned, this one's a little bit too dark. So I feel like if I mix those two, we can get something similar to that. So I'm gonna pop that kind of on the outer corner of my eye. So I just take a bit of All Star, again, super pigmented, and I'm gonna pat that on the outer corner. Jeez Louise. I honestly forgot how intense these shadows are. Like, that was literally the tiniest tap, and it's just like, oh my god. Just let it sit there for a minute. I'll blend all of that out in a second. And then again, just taking the same brush and just dusting it off in between, I'm gonna take this kind of warmer tone red and mix it with a little bit of this kind of warm brown. And again, pack that on the outer corner. Again, like, these shadows are super pigmented, to be fair. The Anastasia ones are like eyeshadow on crack. Like, they are so intense. But to be fair, this is like insanely pigmented compared to the other I Heart makeup palettes that I've used. Like, they're always really nice and I always like them, but as far as pigmentation goes, this is probably one of the best I've come across so far. Again, I think this color from the Anastasia palette is a little bit more unique, but I do still really like this color. This is probably something I'd wear a lot more often, but I don't really have any other shades in my collection that I know of that look like this from Anastasia. So if you want like this particular shade, then go for the Anastasia. But if you're looking for something just kind of along this wavelength, then I'd probably say go for the I Heart makeup because so far the colors that I've used are pretty similar. So I'm then just gonna go ahead and take Dawn, which is that first shade we used, and I'm just gonna buff out the edges of that. This is just from the Anastasia palette. So I'm just buffing all of that out and kind of blending it a little bit. And then I'm just going to take that same shade that we used before from the I Heart Makeup palette and do the same on that side. By the way, I know I'll probably get some questions about what's on my lips, because I always seem to get questions when I wear this lip colour. It's literally just the MAC Stone lip liner, no lipstick or nothing. I just kind of ombre it a little bit so I don't put as much in the centre of my lips. And that is it. So since blending everything out, you might be able to see that the I Heart Makeup side has kind of washed out a little bit. It's still very much there and on my eyes, but it has washed out a little bit compared to the Anastasia side. They're still super, super intense. So I think what I'm actually gonna do now, because like I said, this side here is looking a little bit lighter now in comparison to the shade on this side of my face. I'm gonna actually take this darker color here, which is called Awaken, and just kind of pack that on the outer corner a little bit to deepen it up. Yeah, I feel like that worked a lot better. Now it's looking a lot more similar. I'm actually kind of preferring how this side looks. Interesting. So next, I don't really know how this is gonna look, but I'm gonna take the shade Axis, and I'm also gonna take this shade here, which is called Poison Ivy, and I'm gonna pop them kind of more so in the center, not right to the inner corner of my eye, because I'm gonna try and highlight that in a second, but just kind of focus it from here inwards a little bit. So first of all, using a flat brush, I'm gonna take Axis, oh my god, so intense. And I'm gonna pack that kind of over the center of my eye to start off with. And then once I feel like there's not that much pigment left on my brush, I'm gonna kind of bring it in just a little bit more. And then take a little bit more of Dawn, which is the color we're gonna keep going back to make sure we're nice and blended. I'm gonna go over the top of that to kind of blend it in with the burgundy shade. Just gonna take the tiniest little bit more, just to intensify it a little bit. And then again, same brush, just dust that off. And I'm gonna go in with this shade here, which was called Poison Ivy, I think. Very pigmented. And I'll do the same and just kind of pack that on the center of the lid a little bit. Oh, this actually seems a lot more kind of like greeny as opposed to this side here, which is a little bit more blue. And then again, take that shade that we used at the start for this eye and just kind of buff that out. So I've noticed that this is blending into the red a little bit more, whereas with this you can kind of see with the red and the green stops. This one is just sort of blending into all the other colours a bit. So I'd probably say, especially with this green, because greens can tend to sort of like muddy up other colours, be very, very precise with where you're putting it, because I think I might need to go back over that with some of the burgundy shadow again. Just taking that burgundy shade again and just kind of patting that over the top, just so we don't lose that colour. Personally, I'm finding it easier to work with the Anastasia shadows than the I Heart Makeup, just because the I Heart Makeup ones almost blend out too well. So as you can see, I'm getting more of like a blown out effect here, whereas this side looks a little bit more neat, so I think I'm gonna have to tidy it up with a little bit of concealer or something. But I'm honestly so obsessed with how that green shadow looks. I'm gonna quickly take the shade Untamed from Anastasia and see how that compares. Yeah, see, that one's still more of like a mossy green compared to what I've got on my lid this side. What I've got on the I Heart Makeup side, I feel like it's just more of like a true deep green to me. And it's not a color that I've come across in many palettes, so I'm really liking that shade. So then what I'm gonna do is, the only other colors that maybe look kind of similar to one another, we'll have to see how they swatch, is this shade here called Disturbance. So it's like a shimmery yellow gold. And then this shade here called Electric from the Anastasia palette. Looks like that. It's kind of more of like a lime shimmer. All right, let's see how this works out. So first of all, I'm gonna take the shade Electric on a flat brush. This really doesn't seem to come off. And pack that on the inner corner. Subtle. Maybe we'll see if we can build it up. I feel like this color did build up quite nicely if you like kept packing it on. And then I'll take this shade here. Again, it doesn't seem too pigmented on the brush. Yeah, it's the same kind of deal as the Anastasia one. It's more of like a sheer color that I imagine would look good over like a black or something. That one definitely applied better, but I think I prefer this color more just because it's a bit more unique. It's obviously like a lime green. So then for my lower lash line, I'm gonna go ahead and take, I think, probably All Star again, which is what we mostly used on the outer corner, and just run that on my lower lash line. Oh my god, that is very intense. And then again, just taking a little fluffy brush that doesn't really have anything on it, I'm just gonna buff out the edges. And then again, take like a little mixture of these three shades here. I think I might actually just go for this one. And yeah, I think I'm actually just gonna mix all three, just so we've got a little bit of a mixture going on. And apply that under this eye. And again, same thing as before, just kind of blend the edges out with that. Okay, they're actually starting to look fairly similar now. Slight color difference, but the general theme is very, very similar. I'm now just gonna quickly add some mascara. This is the Lash Paradise from L'Oreal. All right, you guys, so lashes are on. And now that I've got my lashes on, I don't really notice too much of a difference in terms of how the colors look. Like again, if I look up close, I can see that this side here, the I Heart Makeup, is more green. Obviously the highlight, the inner corner highlight, is more yellow. This side, a little bit more blue tone, a little bit more of a lime green highlight. Personally, I do think I prefer the Anastasia side just because it does look a lot more neat and I feel like the colors kind of blend into each other a lot more nicely. This side just looks a little bit more blown out. I feel like the colors maybe didn't blend as nicely because obviously we had a little bit of an issue with the green blending into the purple and looking a little bit muddy. Obviously, like I said at the beginning, the color shades are not identical at all. The similar colors that we've got here are kind of like the greeny, turquoisey shades and like the warm reds that you can kind of mix up around here. And obviously you have got the kind of inner corner highlight shade, which aren't exactly the same, but they do look fairly similar. So no, it's not an exact dupe, but you have got a lot of similar tones going on. They're all kind of warm, jewel tone colors. But yeah, overall, another nice palette from I Heart Makeup. The chocolate bar palettes from them are usually pretty good. Does it dupe the Anastasia Subculture? No, but it's close enough. Okay guys, so I really hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully some of you found it helpful. I feel like it was a little bit all over the place because I was trying to do a review on its own and I was also trying to see if it compared to the Anastasia. Overall, just a really nice palette, kind of duping the Anastasia palette as a whole in terms of like the shade selection and everything like that. But as far as actual single shades go, it's not really a dupe, but again, like I said, you can get a similar look. I would love to know which side you guys prefer. Do you prefer the Anastasia side? Do you prefer the I Heart Makeup side? Let me know in the comment section down below. As always, if you enjoyed this video, then please do give it a big thumbs up and subscribe if you do want to see more of me because I upload all the damn time. But apart from that, that's it from me. I love you guys and I will see you in the next one. Bye.